Welcome to Heartline Stories. Today's story follows a millionaire who never believed in love until a mysterious maid changed everything. At first, Alex Parker was cold and distant, but when he started noticing Jeannie in a way he never expected, everything changed. But that's not the only surprise. Jeannie's past is full of dark secrets, and as Alex learns more, he realizes they're not just running from love, but something much more dangerous. Will their bond survive the truth? Stick around to find out, because this love story is anything but ordinary. You won't believe what happens next, and let us know where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. Once upon a time, there was a millionaire named Alex Parker. He lived in a big mansion on the edge of the city, surrounded by expensive cars, beautiful gardens, and shiny furniture. People thought he had everything he could ever want, but Alex wasn't very happy. He was always grumpy and rude to everyone, even his workers. He didn't like to smile or talk to anyone, and he spent most of his time alone in his huge house. One day, Alex hired a new maid named Jeannie. She was kind and gentle, always smiling and willing to help. She had been working at other houses before, but this mansion was different. It felt big and lonely, just like Alex. On her first day, Jenny came into the kitchen to clean and noticed Alex sitting at the big dining table, reading the newspaper. He barely looked up when she entered. Jeannie tried to start a conversation, but Alex just grunted and went back to his reading. "You must be hungry, Mr. Parker," Jeannie said politely, trying to make small talk. "I can make breakfast for you if you'd like." Alex didn't look up. "I can make my own food," he snapped. Jenny didn't get upset. She just smiled and went about her work. She understood that Alex was a man of few words, but she also knew that kindness could sometimes melt even the hardest hearts. Over the next few weeks, Jenny continued to clean the house, take care of the laundry, and make small meals for Alex. Despite his grumpy attitude, she was always polite and cheerful. She would greet him with a warm smile in the morning, and although Alex never returned her smile, she didn't give up. One evening, there was a huge storm. The wind howled outside and the rain came pouring down. Alex was sitting in the living room, staring out the window, looking more lonely than ever. The storm made him feel even more isolated. Jenny noticed how quiet the house had become and thought maybe this was the perfect time to try something different. She went into the living room where Alex was sitting. "Mr. Parker," she said softly, "it's a terrible storm out there. Maybe you'd like to come sit by the fireplace? It's warm and cozy." Alex looked up at her, annoyed. "I don't need your pity," he muttered. But Jenny didn't give up. She took a seat near the fire and said, "I understand, but sometimes it's nice to be around someone, especially when it's stormy outside." There was a long pause. Alex stared at the fire, and for the first time in a while, he felt something warm inside. He didn't say anything at first, but then, much to his surprise, he stood up and walked over to the chair across from her. "You're always so kind to me," Alex said quietly, sitting down. "I don't understand why you bother." Jeannie smiled. "I just think everyone deserves kindness, even when they don't ask for it." For a moment, the two of them sat in silence, the sound of the storm outside fading away. Alex didn't say much more that evening, but something had shifted. He was starting to see Jeannie in a different light. She wasn't just his maid anymore. She was someone who cared about him, even when he didn't deserve it. The days went by, and things started to change. Alex began to notice more about Jeannie. She would hum a little tune while she worked, her eyes lighting up when she saw the flowers in the garden. She had a way of making the house feel less empty, less lonely. Slowly, Alex started talking to her more. One afternoon, as they were both in the garden, Alex watched Jeannie tending to the flowers. She had her sleeves rolled up and was gently planting new seeds in the soil. The sun was shining, and the birds were chirping. It was peaceful. "You know," Alex said, his voice a little quieter than usual, "I don't think I've ever actually thanked you for everything you do around here." Jeannie looked up, surprised. "Oh, it's nothing, Mr. Parker. I'm just doing my job." Alex shook his head. "It's more than that. You've done more for me than anyone else has in a long time." Jeannie smiled, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I just want to make the house feel more like a home." Alex stared at her for a long moment. He realized she had been right all along. She had brought warmth and kindness into his life, something he had been missing for so long. The next day, Alex did something he had never done before. He asked Jenny if she would like to join him for lunch. Jenny was surprised. She had never imagined he would invite her to sit with him. They sat together at the table, eating sandwiches and chatting about small things. The conversation felt easy, natural, like they had known each other for years. For the first time in a long time, Alex wasn't angry or bitter. He found himself laughing at Jeannie's jokes, enjoying her company. From that day on, Alex's heart started to change. He wasn't as rude as he used to be, and he looked forward to the moments when he could talk to Jenny. Over time, they became close friends, and Alex began to realize that maybe, just maybe, he had started to feel something more for Jeannie than just friendship. One evening after dinner, Alex finally gathered the courage to speak his heart. "Jeannie," he said, his voice softer than usual, I, I think I owe you more than just thanks. You've changed me. You've shown me how to care again, and I don't know how to thank you for that." Jeannie smiled, but this time, there was a knowing look in her eyes. "You don't need to thank me, Alex," she said. "I'm just happy to see you smile." But Alex wasn't done yet. He took a deep breath, his heart racing. "I want to be more than just your employer, Jeannie. I want to be with you, if you'll have me." Jenny looked at him in surprise, her heart skipping a beat. "Alex, I didn't expect that." Alex smiled shyly. "I never thought I would feel this way either. But here I am. I think, I think I'm falling in love with you." Jenny's eyes filled with warmth and a soft blush spread across her cheeks. She reached for his hand. "I think I might be falling in love with you too." And just like that, the rude millionaire's heart had changed. What started as a simple, unlikely friendship had blossomed into something more beautiful than either of them had ever imagined. Alex's heart raced as Jeannie's hand gently touched his. For a moment, they both sat there in silence, the weight of the moment settling between them. It felt unreal to Alex. He had never imagined that he would fall in love with his maid. But here he was, feeling something deep for her, something real. Jeannie smiled softly at him, and Alex couldn't help but smile back. "I never expected this," she said quietly. "But I'm happy it's happening." "I didn't expect it either," Alex admitted, his voice low. "But I feel like I've been waiting for you without even knowing it." Jeannie's eyes sparkled as she looked at him, and for the first time in a long time, Alex felt truly understood. The walls he had built around himself, the ones that had made him so distant and cold, were beginning to crumble. Over the next few weeks, their bond grew stronger. Alex found himself looking forward to every moment he could spend with Jeannie. They started taking walks together around the garden, sharing stories of their pasts. Jeannie spoke about her family, her dreams, and how she had always wanted to help people. Alex, in turn, began to open up more about his life, about his struggles growing up, how he had built his empire, and how loneliness had always been his companion. But not everything was perfect. There were still moments of uncertainty, moments when Alex doubted whether Jenny could truly love him, a man who had been so rude and distant for so long. He wondered if she saw him as the person he was now, or if she was still seeing the millionaire who had pushed everyone away. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace in the living room, Alex couldn't keep the question inside any longer. "Jeannie, are you sure about this? About me?" he asked, his voice unsure. "I know I've been difficult, and I don't want you to feel like you're stuck with someone like me." Jeannie looked at him, her face soft and filled with understanding. "Alex, I know who you are now. I see you, your kindness, your heart. It's not about the money or the mansion or any of that. It's about who you are when no one's watching." Alex's chest tightened as he listened to her. She had always seen the best in him, even when he hadn't been able to see it himself. "I've never had anyone believe in me like you do," he said, his voice cracking a little. "It means more than you'll ever know." Jenny reached out, taking his hand in hers. "I believe in you, Alex. You've changed, and I don't want anything else but to be with you." Alex smiled, feeling his heart swell with emotion. Maybe this love story wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was theirs. Just then, there was a knock at the door. The moment was broken, but they both turned, wondering who it could be at this late hour. "I'll get it," Alex said, rising from the couch. He opened the door to find a man standing there, looking serious and a bit impatient. The man was dressed in a dark suit, his eyes sharp and calculating. Alex didn't recognize him, but something about the man's presence made him feel uneasy. "Can I help you?" Alex asked, trying to hide the tension in his voice. The man's eyes flicked over Alex before focusing on Jeannie, who had gotten up from the couch to see who had come. "Are you Jeannie?" the man asked, his tone flat. Jeannie frowned, clearly confused. "Yes, I am. Who are you?" "My name is Richard Collins," the man said, stepping forward. "I've been looking for you. It's important that we talk." Alex stepped in front of Jeannie, his protective instincts kicking in. "What's this about?" he demanded, his voice firm. Richard's eyes shifted to Alex, but he didn't seem intimidated. "It's about her past. There are things she needs to know, things she might not remember." Jenny looked at Alex, her face full of confusion. "What does he mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. Alex turned to Richard. "If you have something to say to her, you can say it to both of us. What's going on?" Richard hesitated, then sighed. "Fine, but we should sit down. This isn't something you want to hear standing up." Alex and Jenny exchanged a glance, both feeling a sense of unease wash over them. Without saying a word, Alex led the way back into the living room, Richard following behind. Jenny took a seat on the couch, and Alex sat beside her, still keeping a protective hand on her arm. Richard took a deep breath and sat down across from them. "Jeannie, you don't remember me, but I knew you when you were younger. I've been following you for a long time now, and I've been trying to find you before it's too late." Jeannie's face went pale. "What do you mean? I don't understand. What are you talking about?" Richard's gaze softened for just a moment, but then he looked at her with a serious expression. "Your family, they're not who you think they are. Your past isn't just a normal one. There's something about you, something special, that they've been trying to hide." Alex could feel the tension building in the room. "What are you saying?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Richard looked directly at Jeannie. "You're not just a maid, Jeannie. You're part of a much bigger story, one that involves danger, secrets, and a legacy you don't even remember." Alex's heart skipped a beat. What was Richard talking about? And why had he waited so long to tell Jeannie? Jeannie's eyes widened as Richard's words sank in. "What do you mean, a legacy?" she asked, her voice trembling. "What are you saying about my family?" Richard leaned forward, his expression serious. "There are things in your past that were kept from you for a reason. Your real family, your parents. They were involved in something far bigger than you could imagine. And now there are people looking for you." Alex's protective instinct flared up, and he placed a hand on Jeannie's arm, trying to calm her. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice tight with concern. "Who's looking for her?" Richard hesitated for a moment, glancing at both of them before continuing. "There are powerful people who have been searching for you for years, Jenny. They want to control what you have, the legacy you don't even remember. It's dangerous, and it's why I've been trying to protect you. You can't stay here much longer." Alex felt a wave of confusion and panic wash over him. "You've been protecting her?" he asked. "Who are you really? Why should we trust you?" Richard stood up and began pacing, clearly frustrated. "I don't have time to explain everything right now. All I know is that there are forces at play, and Jeannie is at the center of it. It's only a matter of time before they find her. And if they do, it'll be too late." Jeannie looked from Richard to Alex, feeling a sense of fear creeping into her chest. "What do I have that's so important? I don't remember anything about my family. I don't even know who my real parents are. Why would they want me?" Richard's eyes softened, but his voice was still firm. "You're part of something much older than you realize, something connected to an ancient power. Your parents were involved in this, but they tried to protect you by hiding your identity, but it won't stay hidden forever." Alex felt his heart race. Everything Richard was saying felt like it was too much to process. "Jeannie, you don't have to do anything you don't want to," he said, his voice gentle. "We'll figure this out together." Jeannie nodded, still in shock, but she turned to Richard, trying to make sense of it all. "I don't remember any of this. How am I supposed to believe you?" Richard sighed and took a seat across from them again. "I understand it's a lot to take in, but you need to trust me. Your memories are locked away, but they'll come back. There's no time to waste. If we don't act now, those who want to find you will be here before you know it." Alex stood up, pacing the room as his mind raced. I don't know who to trust, but if what you're saying is true, Jeannie, we need to figure out how to protect you. Jeannie clenched her fists, trying to hold back the growing fear inside. But I don't even know what I'm protecting myself from. What is this power, and why do they want me? Richard's gaze softened once more, but the urgency in his voice was clear. It's not just power they're after, Jeannie. It's your potential. There's something in you, something that could change everything, if you learn how to unlock it. But they won't hesitate to use you to gain control. That's why I've been trying to keep you safe. Alex turned back to Jenny, his face full of concern. Jeannie, you don't have to do this alone. I'll help you, whatever it takes. Jeannie took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. I don't even know where to start. Richard stood up. The first step is to leave. Tonight. If we stay here any longer, they'll find us. I've arranged a safe place where you can start to learn more about your past and the power that lies within you. Alex's heart dropped. He wasn't sure what to believe, but the look in Richard's eyes told him one thing. This was serious. Where are we going? Richard hesitated, his gaze shifting between them. It's a place far away from here. I've been waiting for the right moment to take you. But now it's time. Jeannie's hand trembled in Alex's. I don't know if I'm ready for this, she whispered, her voice filled with uncertainty. Alex squeezed her hand. I don't know if I am either, but we'll figure it out together. With a final heavy glance at Richard, Alex made up his mind. All right, we'll go, but if anything happens to Jeannie, I'll hold you responsible. Richard nodded, his expression grave. I understand, but right now we need to move quickly. There's no time to waste. They gathered their things in silence, the weight of what was happening settling over them. The storm outside had stopped, but the storm inside their lives was just beginning. Jenny wasn't just a maid anymore. She was a key player in a story she hadn't asked to be a part of, and Alex was determined to protect her at all costs. As they stepped out into the dark night, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a journey that would change everything. The moonlight bathed the road ahead as they got into the car, the engine starting with a low hum. Jeannie glanced back at the mansion, the place that had once been her home, but now she felt like a stranger there. There were too many questions, too many secrets. And as the car drove off into the night, one question echoed in Alex's mind. What were they really running from? The car sped down the empty road, its headlights cutting through the darkness ahead. Jenny sat silently beside Alex, her mind racing with the flood of questions she had no answers to. Richard sat in the back, his eyes scanning the road behind them, constantly on alert. The tension in the car was thick, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Alex glanced over at Jeannie, his heart aching. He could see how scared she was, and he knew that she didn't deserve any of this. She was just a kind, caring woman who had been thrown into a world of mystery and danger without warning. And now they were running, unsure of where they were going or what they were running from. Jeannie, Alex said softly, trying to break the silence, we'll figure this out. I promise. She looked at him, her eyes filled with worry. But I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. What if I don't have the answers they want? What if I can't protect myself? You don't have to do it alone, Alex reassured her, squeezing her hand. We're in this together. Jenny nodded, but the uncertainty was still there, lingering in her eyes. She turned to Richard, her voice quiet but desperate. Richard, can you tell me more about what's going on? What's this power you're talking about? Why do these people want me? Richard sighed, clearly uncomfortable with the subject, but he knew he had to explain. The truth is, Jenny, your family wasn't just any family. They were part of an ancient group, one with access to knowledge and abilities that others have tried to control for centuries. Your parents kept this from you, hoping you'd live a normal life, but it looks like the time has come for you to learn what you're capable of. Jenny shook her head, feeling overwhelmed. But I don't remember any of it. How am I supposed to just know these things? Richard met her gaze, his expression softening for the first time. The memories are locked deep inside you. Once you're in a safe place, with the right guidance, they'll come back. You'll understand your role in all of this, and you'll be able to tap into the power you have. Alex's mind raced. This was too much. Jenny had already been through so much, and now she was supposed to unlock some hidden power? It didn't seem fair, but there was no turning back now. They had to trust Richard, for better or worse. Where exactly are we going? Alex asked, his voice steady but unsure. A place called the Sanctuary, Richard replied. It's hidden, secure. Only a few people know about it. It's the safest place for you to learn and get answers. Jeannie took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. I just want to know the truth. I need to understand what's happening. They drove for what felt like hours, the night growing colder as they left the city behind. The further they went, the more isolated the road became. Finally, they reached a small, hidden house deep in the woods. It was simple, nothing like the mansion Alex had lived in, but there was a sense of peace around it. This is it, Richard said, pulling the car to a stop. The sanctuary. Alex helped Jenny out of the car, and they followed Richard inside. The house was cozy with soft lighting and an old fireplace that crackled in the corner. There was a calmness to the place, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Jenny let out a sigh of relief. They sat down in the living room, and Richard began to speak again. This is where you'll start to uncover your past, Jeannie. You'll meet others who understand what you're going through, and you'll be able to unlock the memories that have been hidden. Jeannie nodded, feeling a little more at ease now that they had arrived. But deep down, she knew this was just the beginning. There were still so many questions she needed answers to. The next few days passed in a blur of training and learning. Jeannie met other people at the sanctuary who had similar abilities, people who had also been trained to harness their hidden powers. They taught her how to meditate, how to focus her mind, and how to connect with the deep, ancient energy that flowed through her. At night, Alex stayed by her side, always there to offer comfort and support. He never left her, no matter how difficult the journey became. Slowly, Jeannie began to remember fragments of her past, snippets of moments with her parents, the secrets they had kept from her, and the reason why she had been hidden away. One evening, after a particularly intense training session, Jeannie sat outside under the stars, lost in thought. Alex joined her, sitting quietly beside her. I'm starting to remember, Jeannie whispered, her voice filled with wonder. It's all coming back. The power, it's real. Alex looked at her, his eyes filled with admiration. You've always had it, Jeannie. I'm just glad you're learning to control it. She smiled softly, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. But what happens now? What do I do with all of this? These people, whoever they are still out there. They're still looking for me. Alex reached for her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. We'll face whatever comes together. You're not alone in this, Jeannie. I'll protect you, no matter what. And in that moment, Jenny realized that it wasn't the power that defined her. It was the love and support she had from Alex and the courage she found within herself. Together, they could face anything that came their way. As the night sky stretched out above them, Jeannie felt ready for whatever the future held. She wasn't just the maid anymore. She was someone with purpose, with strength, and with a future that was entirely her own. And with Alex by her side, she knew she could overcome any challenge because love was the greatest power of all.